In this video, I'm going to show you how to make real Mexican tortas. The first one right here is a Milanesa de pollo, or just pollo empanizado, and the other one is a torta de jamon, or in English, the fried chicken cutlet torta, and a ham torta. These are both pretty traditional tortas that you could find in Mexico, or just like at a good Mexican restaurant that sells good tortas. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the ingredients. Pretty much the most important thing, the first thing you need to worry about is the bread. Here I have two different types of bolillos. This first one I got from the Mexican supermarket, and this other one I got from a Mexican bakery or a panaderia. So I usually like to go with teleras because teleras are flatter and they're bigger. And it's like more surface area, so you could put like more toppings. But I couldn't find any teleras, so I got two different kinds of bolillos. I do prefer the one from the bakery because it's more rustic than the supermarket bolillo. But if you don't have a panaderia, like a Mexican bakery, try and find it at a Mexican market. If not, you get like a hoagie or a French roll. Just what you can basically. And then I have refried beans. I'm using black beans, but you could definitely use pinto beans if you like. Avocados. The mayonnaise makes a pretty big difference, but I prefer mayonnaise. Some sliced onions, any kind of onions really. Tomatoes. Obviously, if you don't like when it comes to these ingredients, you could swap out whatever you want. You could take away, you could add stuff. And I have the Mexican pickle, as I like to think of it, the jalapenos. In Mexico, we don't really eat pickles, but we do eat pickled jalapenos. So this is basically a Mexican pickle. Just any kind of butter, salted butter. I did take out this butter so it's in room temperature, so it's easier to spread. Lettuce, lettuce is pretty optional. I have two different kinds of cheeses. The first one is a melty cheese. It's a queso Oaxaca. If you can't get queso Oaxaca in your area, you could definitely do like a mozzarella cheese. But characteristics of Oaxaca cheese is basically, it's like a stretchy mozzarella type of cheese, and it resembles kind of a string cheese. So you could even go with string cheese. But this is good for hot sandwiches when you're making like the Milanesa de pollo or chicken cutlet. It melts. So if the beans are hot and the chicken is hot, then it's gonna melt. Now the other kind of cheese is more for if you're using like a cold sandwich, like a ham sandwich, like the one that we're making. Queso fresco is really good. It's like really juicy. So it's like a fresh flavor, and it crumples. So this is like another cheese you could go with. But at the end of the day, you can use whatever cheese you want, whatever cheese you have, whatever cheese you prefer. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is just cut the torta in half. And basically, once you open it in half, you're going to want to just rub. Okay, so this is why I prefer teleras, because with teleras, you don't really have to worry about like all the breading inside, and you could just like start putting butter on it. But since this is a bolillo, it has a lot of bread in it, and it doesn't really close that well. So what I do is I gently rub the top part of it, and I remove some of the bread. That way the toppings could go in the sandwich properly, and you're not getting like a big huge bite of bread. And that way the toppings really come out. If you want to make the most out of the bread, then definitely you don't have to do this step. But yeah, definitely just gently rub until it starts coming out like I did here. To me the most important part about making the torta is putting the butter and toasting the bread on the pan properly. I feel like this elevates the torta. Really, any sandwich. Like I'm a really big advocate when it comes to toasting your bread for burgers and for sandwiches. Obviously, you don't always have to toast your bread for sandwiches, but like for burgers and for tortas, I think it's an absolute must. And if you don't do it, it's perfect at the end of the day, but I think it really makes a huge difference. Alright, so now we're going to start cooking it, and you can use any skillet that you have, and you want to make sure you get a really good toast on the on your bolillo, or hoagie, or French bread, or baguette, or whatever you have. So what I'm doing here is, if you don't really want to stand with the spatula and press it, you could put a plate, or you could put like a pot on top. Because the whole purpose of me pressing it down is because since I removed some of the breading from the inside, it's not going to cook all the way, so you really want to flatten it out. And right here, this is about perfect for one side. Like, you don't want to burn it. I like it just slightly golden, so I think golden is really good. And then for the other side, I'm gonna just slightly toast it. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it because it's gonna get burned. And I did butter the outside part, but I wouldn't really recommend buttering it unless you're gonna put a little bit, because it just gets like really greasy, and maybe you don't want the greasiness. But definitely butter the inside, and the outside it's optional. But yeah, definitely toast it. And then so you put mayonnaise on both sides, and then after that you're gonna add the beans. Maybe it's nostalgia from when I was a kid, but yeah, there's something about having a properly toasted telera or bolillo with butter, mayonnaise, and beans. That's like just, that's the basic torta right there, and it's like really good in my opinion. So I like to put on the bottom part of the bread, I like to put the beans, and then everything else on the top part. So I'm gonna put onions and the Mexican pickle, jalapenos, tomatoes, and you can put lettuce. Lettuce is like honestly really optional. So that's the rundown on how to make a torta. Basically, any torta, you could do any variation of this and you can't go wrong. Now, I'm not going to focus so much on the meat because I just wanted to show you how to properly assemble a torta, and you could swap any ingredient, take away, add whatever you like. Really, it's whatever you prefer, but I would at least recommend that you start off with these basics, and if it's your first time, definitely add all these things, and then you can learn what you like and what you don't like. So for the first one is I'm gonna put queso fresco on top of the beans, and then I'm gonna add the ham. And this is like a very classic, very traditional Mexican torta right here. This is, almost everyone has, if you live in Mexico, you definitely have had a torta de jamon. And I know it's simple, but it's actually like really delicious, and for me it's very nostalgic because it's the classic. And then for the next one, I basically, long story short, I fried a chicken cutlet, and I assemble it exactly the same way as the previous torta, and then I just added the chicken cutlet. And I would recommend probably to put the cheese on top of the beans, since the beans are going to be hot and the chicken cutlet's going to be hot. And if you put the cheese in between the beans and the chicken, then it's going to start to melt. This is how I would make the tortas right here, and this is honestly the best Mexican sandwich, one of the best Mexican sandwiches you can make. Well, just take a look at that. So yeah, these sandwiches are delicious. I absolutely love me a good torta. And that's the final product right there. Now, as a quick bonus, I absolutely love doing this. This is, this is very simple but delicious. Basically, you want to assemble it the same way. Toast a bun, put mayonnaise, beans, some cheese, cream. I put onions, but you don't really need onions. This makes a great breakfast or a quick little snack if you want it. But yeah, I really love doing this. This is actually one of my favorite things to do with bread, with bolillos and teleras. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please consider subscribing because it really helps me out. I want to eventually do this full time, so every subscription is going to help me get close to monetization. And with that comes, better video qualities, more videos, and more recipes. So yeah, thanks a lot.